Hello, welcome back to Juneteenth. I'm so happy you're here to join us. And we have a special treat, an awesome guest. Stepping up to the virtual stage, we have Mo Hampton, an Army veteran out of Fort Bragg, North Carolina.
Cool.
And right now, she is in the heat of it, you all. She is actually in Fayetteville, where the tragedy concerning George Floyd actually occurred. So we know that there's a lot going on down there.
It's the birthplace of George Floyd, yes.
The birthplace of George. And Mo is a full stack developer. She's been in the industry for a little while, and I can go on and on about her wonderful accomplishments, but you didn't come to hear me, you came to hear Mo. So without further ado, stepping up to the virtual stage, Mo.
Well, thank you for the nice, warm introduction. I appreciate you, Lance. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Well, happy Juneteenth, everybody. I mean, this is a day that we should be celebrating. We've had great speakers so far. I am motivated and energized to do this talk. I feel that we all are here for purpose, and our purpose is to learn and to network and to know more about tech today. So let's go ahead and do that. So as Lance said, I am Mo Hampton. And today I'm going to be presenting Breaking into Tech from the Trenches. The slides here, I'm kind of geeky a little bit, can't help it. They're by Reveal.js, and they are being broadcast through slides.com. So any of my techie people, if you want to look into that, it's really nice. It's a nice code-based slide deck instead of using PowerPoint. So check it out if you have time. So you got the job in tech. I did, I got it. But Sway, why is this a talk? Why are we here? Well, let me just give you a little bit about my background. So about 4 years ago, I made a difficult decision to leave my job in the government. As you already know, I'm an Army vet. I went in as military intelligence, and then I got out. I decided I wanted to continue my career as a government employee. Throughout that time frame, I got amazing assignments and I got great benefits from the Army. So when I went to the government side, I was able to leverage my experience from the Army to work in positions like Okinawa, Japan, for the Marine Corps and for the Army, and securing their information. And then I went from there to the Pentagon, and that was an amazing assignment where I was able to write policy and everything. Coding at the I guess I'm gonna give my age a little bit. MySpace was it for me. I found how I could be able to modify my page and do different things to it. I think that's a lot of people, that's where we started. And I loved it as a hobby, but I never knew that it could be a career for me because I always felt like the Army has trained me. They've given me an amazing job. This is a job that I'm going to continue to do even outside of AIT, outside of my advanced individual training when I start to go into the world. This is what I know. I've been doing it for the last 10 years. Who am I to change it up now? And it's a good thing. I was able to make it, and within the GS system, you can go all the way up to a GS15. I was able to make it to GS14, which was pretty amazing, especially for somebody at my age, a woman and everything. But I was just not passionate. I didn't feel my purpose or my calling in doing what I was doing for the Army. Yes, I was doing great things for the nation, but I wasn't doing great things for Mo. So I decided at that time that it was time to do a mid-career pivot. So first, as I went into this, I already have the background of being a Black woman in the Army. I already know how it looks within the Department of Defense. So I said, oh, I can easily do this and flip this into tech because I'm used to working in these spaces that are always the most inviting, but they will eventually warm up if they get to know you. I mean, one of the things my grandmother used to always say is hard to hate your neighbor. So if you have a neighbor, you get to know them, you bring them over for a glass of sweet tea, it's really hard to hate your neighbor. So I felt I can get over that. I can be able just to show them who I am as a person and be able to jump into this. I was a mother already by the time I decided to code and to make this career pivot. And I already know that there's biases against mothers that try to do this. There's employers that will look at you and say, well, do you plan on having any more children? Not that that's any of their business, but they want to know that because they want to anticipate for their work crew, like, how much time are you going to take off? Are you going to be gone for, taking care of your child? Are you going to need time to go to school things? Yes and yes, but that shouldn't be a bias held against me. But that's something I still kept in my mind. One of the things about being a mother also that the research shows is there's a big gender bias. When hiring managers know that a woman has a child, they're 79% less likely to be hired. And if she is hired, more than likely the average that she gets in her salary is $11,000 less than her equal counterpart. So
Wow.
The gender bias is something that really holds us back a little bit, but we keep pushing towards it. And now that we have more active fathers, they're starting to feel that kind of bias of being a parent too. But we do see some companies that are more open to this and willing to work with parents. So there's that. I was an Army veteran. I'm just naming the number of things that in my mind could have stopped me from making this career pivot. So a lot of Americans, I think this came out from the Vietnam era, where they started to look at Army veterans as broken and wounded, more like broken heroes. They thought that we were more likely to be unemployed, more likely to be undereducated or homeless. And that stigma still stands with some of us Army veterans, especially if you are from the enlisted track opposed to the officer track. These are things that you have to be mindful of moving forward. The non-traditional background. So I'm coming into tech, and usually the most well-known way to get into tech, or at least to get into software engineering, is to find the best suitable school or university and to get that CS degree, that computer science degree. If you have this computer science degree and you get great internships, you have a great opportunity to jump into one of the major companies like Apple or Microsoft or Amazon. They're looking for that. But with somebody with not that traditional background in CS, my hurdle was a little bit higher. I had to come from a different background, and that gave me severe imposter syndrome. And I keep repeating over and over again how this is a mid-career pivot. So, of course, when you think about tech or you watch the show Silicon Valley, you see these young kids that are on the whiteboard just whipping out formulas that you've never seen before. It almost looks like you're looking at some Egyptian pyramid and you're seeing the writings on the wall. But it doesn't matter your age. You can still have the ability to move from that and learn, just like our keynote speaker said today. It doesn't matter your age. It's not rocket science as long as you take the time to try to learn the pieces and break it down into bite-sized pieces. Anybody can learn to code. So I took a hard look at the collective pieces that you see now on this board, and I understood my fears, and I felt like I need to address these issues. Like, why is this holding me back, and how am I going to overcome it? But as who I am and what I've always known, I am an overachiever. I will try to push through these barriers. So as a vet, I saw this as my next mission, breaking into tech. As a real vet, I saw this as O-Plan Bit. Or, as you guys might want to know, it's Operation Break into Tech. So making my entry to tech was an operational plan. It might seem a little extreme, but I knew this was something that I was passionate about, and I didn't want to leave it to chance. So this is my opportunity to apply grit to a challenge. Time to apply my passion and perseverance to a long-term goal. Because I wasn't looking at how can I just get in there, but I was looking at how do I make this a change in my life? How do I benefit not only me, but my family, my kids, and produce a generational wealth that can just keep flowing? So how am I going to do this? I needed to make it a real plan. So I developed 3 main objectives to achieve this. So foundation was my first objective, to build a strong understanding of the coding concepts. I can't go in the door and asking for something if I don't understand, like the data structures, the notion. I cannot ask for the job if I don't have the skill set. Number 1, I had to build a foundation. 2 was to get the courage within. I had to find a way to finally put myself out there Yes, I'm okay to compete with somebody and different things, but this is something that was unfamiliar territory. So now is the time for me to get comfortable with that and put myself out there. And then 3, consistency. I had to continuously do 1 and 2, steps 1 and 2, foundation and courage, to grow and keep learning. So this is my plan, but this operation bit or O plan bit may not be the plan for everybody. But I'm encouraging you as I go through this plan real quick to show you how you can be able to map it out for yourself. Just stay consistent, set that goal. Remember that dream that you put out there? It's a dream all the way until you put a date on it, until you put some metrics on it. Once you place metrics on that dream, it is now mysteriously a goal. Now you have to achieve that goal. It's okay to get off a track, but just make sure you get back to your goal setting and you get back on track if you fall off. So the first one, foundation. Let's see. So OBIT plan, foundation. For me, as I said before, it was bootcamp versus the computer science degree. So I looked at what was accessible for me because I am a mother and I needed that, that flexibility to be there for my kids, but also to learn what would be more cost beneficial. I already had a degree and I wasn't willing to throw another 30, 40, upwards to 100,000 to another degree in computer science. And then how can I best know that I'm learning the foundational concepts that would stick to me? So ultimately, looking at these things, I determined for myself, for the OBIT plan, that I'm going to go to boot camp. So I enrolled into the University of North Carolina Chapel Hill boot camp. And I've met some wonderful people there, had great instructors, and we were all in the struggle together. And we learned these concepts. We did study groups, we did coffee breaks, we did pizza meetups. It was an amazing experience. And I would highly recommend it to others if that's the route you want to go. But you can also use these other traditional ways. So that's my plan. But what you can do is say, what are the other non-traditional courses of action? ACOA. I'm Army, can't help it. Course of action. So I listed a few there. So there's online courses that you can go to, like Udacity or Free Code Camp. Team Treehouse is amazing. You can even go to Harvard for free through edX. The only limitation that's stopping you to learn these concepts is yourself and your time. So I know there's some barriers, but we should be able to overcome those barriers, right? And then the last thing is if you don't have time to do all that, and you just want to get into the tools and try to learn some of it first, and then maybe go back to foundational, the cheat code at the bottom is to read documentation. Go to React.js. They have a great tutorial there. Or go to Bootstrap for your UI front-end framework. And they have a great tutorial there for you to just play around with and figure it out. So my second objective for the plan was courage. It's so easy just to say, just get out there, put yourself out there. It is so much harder than what it sounds. But trust that there's an employer out there that's looking for the skills that you have. You just have to put yourself out there to be found. So for me, I initially started doing what we call 100 days of code. It's a nice little hashtag on Twitter. I am not proud of this, but this is a journey of Mo. Here you can see I posted on Twitter. This is probably day 2. I was learning how to integrate Firebase to, I think I was building a game at that time. I was trying to figure out how to do it. And I was just about as frustrated as that girl. I was like, I know I can do this. I can stack this up. But every time I would try, those things are just fine. I was like, why is this not working? Why is this not working? If you're a developer, you understand my struggle I'm talking about. You get that headache in the beginning. So I was just so frustrated, but like banging my head. How long did it take me to figure it out? Just 4 days. 4 terrible days. Don't do this. This is part of my plan. But finally, I broke down and I asked somebody for help. And it was as simple as my JavaScript was not linked to my HTML file. If I would have just stopped for a second and said, I've been on this for about 2 hours. It's okay to reach out for help. I need to reach out for help. So my thing is to get out there, but also for your plan, make sure you have a good support system. So how do I make myself more visible in the tech industry? Get networking or get social first before you get networking. So get social and start putting yourself out there on, there's plenty of communities. There's like Code Newbie, there's 100 Days of Code. You can even go on GitHub and start following people, they follow you back. And you can get yourself out there as saying like, I'm learning to code. It's okay. There are some phenomenal people out there, but they will take time out to speak to you or even show you some things. Even if you have little simple questions, they might even direct you to a tutorial that they built themselves that can be able to help you out with that. Get networking. I think somebody else mentioned today too about the meetups and being able to do different groups. There was another gentleman that mentioned he went to Facebook groups. There are Facebook groups for developers, and then also you could be able to get into the LinkedIn groups. And Meetup is phenomenal if you are just at a point where it's hard to describe over virtually, but you just want to sit down with somebody and have a coffee and talk about it face to face. They can be able to help you that way. And last is probably the hardest part of getting yourself out there is to get mentorship. Mentorship can happen naturally, or mentorship can happen as a tweet that you put out there. Hey, I'm drowning. Can anybody be able to mentor? Especially in our group, there is a hashtag out there that's called hashtag Black Tech Twitter. It has been phenomenal. It's the founder of it is Paris, and she has put it out there. So whenever you just want that help, or you want somebody that kind of, you don't have to kind of filter yourself. You just want to ask, hey bro, sis, help me out. Just pull me out of this, help me out. You can be able to put whatever you want as that hashtag. And there's tech professionals from UX, UI to program managers to anybody out there that can be able to help you out with that. So, like I said, kind of pushing off of the get networking, you're going to need some really phenomenal people behind you. So it might be time to find your tech squad, right? So your tech squad, they're going to be your informal network. I like to think that my tech squad, just when I'm having that imposter syndrome, I look to them. I'm more like, I don't want it to get to my head, but I feel like I'm more of the Beyonce when I have those issues, and I have my stands that come behind me. And they're like, no, girl, you can do this. You can. I love my tech squad. They will help me out and tell me, do not pity yourself. Put in the work and come out of there and just really focus on it. So the tech squad can be your informal group that will motivate you whenever you want to quit. There are also that focus group that if you just have this wild brain idea and you just want to, kind of throw it at them and be like, have you tried doing this? Or how do I go about doing this? Or is this even a good idea? Your tech squad will help you. So you don't have a tech squad, and you really don't want to do the social thing. I get it. But if you are already working in a company that has a robust ERG, employee resource group, make sure you reach out to them. A lot of times people are not aware that their employees have these groups, these diversity and inclusion initiatives. Try to find one that fits for you. It might be the Black group. It might be the Army vet group or military veterans group. It might be the women's group or the Asian or the Latinx or Latino, whatever group it is for you. Be able to reach out to them in your workplace, and they can even help you to the point where you want to jump into tech or you want to jump into software engineering, and they have a track in-house. So just ask those questions with those resource groups if you have the opportunity. My third objective was consistency. All those things sound great in the background, but what does it matter if I'm not staying consistent with it? So my plan was to continuously learn. Never stop learning, was to go back into Udacity and Team Treehouse, the two that I mentioned earlier, and just take little tutorials and tools that I needed to make sure that I stay fresh and up to date. Of course, reading documentation, like I mentioned earlier, that is a big part of it, to just stay there. Also, I found that to build consistency, you can also teach others. So when you're teaching somebody else how to do something, you have to know it. So I decided to become a tech instructor with Black Girls Code, and then also to help with as a web advisor with start small, think big. So Black Girls Code was amazing because I felt like I was directly giving back to my community. I was giving back to the little Mo that didn't know that this is something I could be able to do, that was always told that I should do something else and computer science is not for me, or maybe you should go more into administrative or HR. if I just had one person just introduce this to me as a child, it would have made a world difference. So that's something I give back to. And then start small, think big is more for the entrepreneurs out there. It's for the underserved communities that want to start their own businesses, and they provide them resources to be able to do that. They provide them marketers, they provide them people who can be able to give them supply chains and whatnot. This is a great initiative that I was a part of, and I did as a web. But my point is, just start to put yourself out there a little bit. You'd be amazed that you might think you know very little, but it is a lot to share with the next person, and they'll be very grateful for it. So that was part of the OBIT plan. So how do you continue to grow and stay consistent in tech? How can you do that? Number one, you can continue to learn whatever avenue that you find appropriate for you. You can be able to find those different platforms that you can go on. It can be subscription based. It can be just different tutorials from practicaldev.com or even from Medium, the reading resource. You can go there and look at those things and see what would be best suited for you. Give back. Mine was Black Girls Code and Start Small, Think Big. But there are other organizations out there or nonprofits that you can easily give back to. When you give back, it's not only flourishing and building tech pipelines for your community, but it's also making you a stronger tech professional. And then there's also, you can do mentorship. So you can mentor others. You can always give back, because once you start to break into it and you start to learn things, don't keep those little secrets or those little nuggets of information to yourself. Make sure once you step forward, you turn around and you make sure you share that information back to that next person. Do not be a gatekeeper. We know how it feels to have gatekeepers stop us. Do not contribute to that. Make sure you turn around and you give back. I mean, we all want to grow, right? That's growth. So with every mission set, when you're done, you're wrapping it up at the end, you look at your plan and you say, what are my lessons learned? Or what is the action after action review, your AAR? So this is what I learned. I learned that nothing speaks louder than delivering. I can tell you that I know this. I can tell you that I know that. I can say that I might do this and I may do that in the future. But it really speaks volumes if I deliver. If I just show them that product and say, boom, yep, I did that within 2 weeks. And it looks good, it's functional, everything looks beautiful, UI. Deliver. Make sure that you are not just giving people lip service, that you are going through and trying to complete it. And it's okay to practice intellectual humility too. Let's not forget about that. If you really truly don't know something, be honest in it and say, I don't know it, but I'm willing to learn it and I'm going to try to do it quickly and effectively. My next one is live the bigger life. It's that corny one. It's like dream big. But that goes hand in hand with like the imposter syndrome stuff. Like just don't make sure that you don't self-reject, right? Make sure that you just go ahead and put yourself out there, put yourself forward and go for that bigger dream. That thing that you thought was unattainable, try to hack at it. Try little by little to hack at it and figure out, how do I break the code of that? How do I get inside of that? How do I reverse engineer it to where now I can use those 12 pieces for myself? Try to do that and try the unexpected. I mean, it might seem too big, but it can be very rewarding once you accomplish it. Last is help others. Don't forget to build that network. Build your squad, your tribe, whatever you want to call your thing. Build that circle of trust of people that you guys can continuously give and take. Like it's just that synergy that you're building with your people. Tell someone how you did it. Don't you dare make it through those doors and don't turn around and tell somebody else how to do the same thing. Do not be intimidated by other success and thinking that they're going to pass everybody. There's so much room at the table. There's so much room at the table. Your piece of the pie does not mean that somebody else is going to get less. This pie is endless, okay? Just make sure once you do it, you are willing to share with somebody else and show them how you were able to do it. And just a little shameless plug, helping others and giving back. I do have another talk today at 4:30 Eastern time, about 3 hours from now. But if you want to learn how to give back to your community through tech, or give back to tech without any burnout, we can be able to talk about that a little bit later. And here's a couple of cheat codes, bonus tips. Trust the process. It might seem like, I don't want to take downtime 6 months or a year, but trust the process. Just go ahead and push yourself through it and it will work out. Trust it. That struggle is worth it at the end. Make mistakes and focus on what you can control. Fail and fail hard. Just hurry up and do it. Hurry up and do it. Fail. Don't worry about failing. And then control what you can. If you can't control it, move on to the next thing. And the last one is be authentically you. Be you, right? They'll adjust. They'll figure it out. Be you. Don't feel the need to get into a workplace and 100% code switch or to not be who you are, especially in this day and time. We are celebrating Juneteenth. People are getting days, holiday leave off today. Be you. Do not be ashamed of who you are, what you represent, and what your skin looks like. So, give yourself self-affirmations. You're great. You look good. You can do it. Well, that's about wrapping it up. Do we have time for a little bit of Q&A, Lance?
I don't think so. I will ask you one question though. Let's see if we have time for that. For those that are already in the 9-to-5, what suggestions would you have in terms of how much time they can put into studying?
So I would say there's a nice hack that I've learned. So there's a hack of 25 minutes a day. Okay. Minimum. Because if you put 25 minutes a day, by the end of the week, you have dedicated 2.5 hours. Okay. So if you can do 2.5 hours, you can get a little bit of foundational learning done that way.
Awesome. Awesome. Mo, that was absolutely inspiring. It was awesome. It was great. A lot of information, a lot of good tips. And we thank you so much for imparting and all that you're doing to help the community, the Black community especially. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Happy Juneteenth, everybody. See you later.
Bye-bye now.